Hello, everyone. A very warm welcome to another exciting episode of Psychology Talks. And today's episode is really special because June is the month of mental health, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And we are here gathered to speak about men's mental health because this is the topic that is often overlooked by the people. So and I'm really honored to be joined by these experts, and most importantly, honored to be joined by Preston Weeks, who is the co-host of today's panel discussion, and we'll talk about that what are the stigmas attached to it and how we can overcome these. So this is going to be really special and very interesting topic we'll talk about. And today we are joined by esteemed guests. Thanks to all those who joined us today and joined, like Paul Gunn. Thank you so much. He's the CEO and founder of KUOG Corporation. Hawk is a healer, is a certified healer. Patrick is um, is a consciousness architect and is doing a lot on the mental health. And Heather is the founder of Brave Inspires Brave. So thank you for joining us. And Preston is, of course, founder of so many businesses. Like, I think I need to write a long list, and it will take an hour if I just start giving you the introduction about it. So he's the founder of so many business, and most importantly, founder of co-founder of Save Lives Project. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you. Thank you
yeah,
for hosting this too and putting this together, Ambreen, because this is such an important topic and it's not talked about enough. And there's so many different stigmas around this area. And so, yeah, this is a great thing. And I'm really excited to be a part of it today.
yeah. Thank you. So everyone for joining, and all the audience that you are joining, please share your comments so we'll be able to answer all your questions and to comment on your comments again. I have given a very brief introduction uh, to all our esteemed guest speaker, but I would like you to actually give a little bit of introduction about yourself also, so like our audience will get to know you better. So I'll start from, let's say, Paul. Yeah. So please tell us a
Hey,
bit about yourself.
uh, hey everyone, thanks for having me. Well, at the core, I'd like to say I'm mostly a vessel for overflowing into others, and by that, we basically support our warfighters and helping them get home safely by providing them the material they need. And it's wonderful to be part of this and kind of exchange thoughts and ideas that may help remove some of the stigma and help others speak up about it. So thanks to you and everything, Preston, and everyone's doing for this.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for being here with us and sharing your thoughts. Hawk, would you like to share something about about yourself?
Sure, Ambreen. Thanks a lot first for the invite. I'm a Norwegian monk and healer. I worked in social work for more than 20 years. So I worked with a lot of people with various problems. And what's always been my mission is to help others shine their light. To find the light first, because sometimes it's quite hidden, and then to let it shine. And the ways to do that are so varied because we are all unique. We all come from different backgrounds. So it's got to be, you can't have one method. You got to have more than one.
Yeah.
Like
Thank you for all you do.
music, for instance.
Yes.
Music is one of the best ways to connect with people. I'm also a musician. So, yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. Patrick.
Yeah, it's funny that we're coming here together and that I speak after Hag. And for me, music is also one of the most important things, really. Mental health, and especially for men, I feel it had so many stigmas because in our identity as men, we're just not allowed to have feelings and you know, having these struggles and troubles, because we're fixing everything, we're making the solutions. And so I'm very grateful, Ambreen, that you're bringing that out. So yeah, I wear many hats, very eclectic. I don't think it's about a method, and I'm surely not about a method. And life has taken me into all kind of fields, and also into the fields of the healing arts. But what I'm really conscious about and passionate about now is to be a bridge. And it's a bridge into the new earth, that we are connected with all this evolution that's going on, and that we all have a chance to evolve, which means to embrace our own emerging, but also it means that we start trusting the unconscious and the unfolding and the mystic and the energy. And Ambreen and I talk about this a lot. So consciousness architecture is useful in mental health because you have a choice. And I feel choice is another very important part in this journey of evolution, and really breaking all the stigmas and the silence about mental health for men, but in general, because the mental health is not separated from all that we are. And so I'm very grateful to be here today and being able to be part of this beautiful panel, but grateful for all of the people who are viewing it today and hopefully being part of it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, Heather.
I'll unmute. Thanks, Ambreen. Thanks to you, Preston Weeks, for having me here. It's an honor to be here with all of you. My name is Heather McWilliam, and I'm the CEO and founder of Brave Inspires Brave. We're inspiring and building brave leaders of today and tomorrow with a special focus on veterans and law enforcement who are transitioning in their careers to leadership opportunities for post-traumatic growth. And so I also, in the past, was a police officer and served in Canada for roughly 10 years, and then became a human rights advocate, mental health advocate, and social impact advocate with regards to the work that I was doing in human rights and law enforcement. And so now being able to serve in a business aspect for Brave Inspires Brave, it allows me to fully embrace my experiences and to be able to give back what I've learned with regards to mental health, not only for myself, but with men's mental health as well.
Yeah, amazing. Like, you're doing a lot of work. I know that you're constantly doing the podcast and do a lot of work to help people around you. So thank you so much for all you do. So moving on to the discussion, like, what do you think that what are the challenges that, men face, especially when they're dealing with the mental health?
Sorry, Ambreen, was that back for me coming back this way?
It could be for anyone, like, because I just mentioned that I don't want to actually address to anyone. So anyone of you just feel like if you think that you can share your views and answers, so please go ahead.
Sure, I'm happy to go ahead, Ambreen, if you'd like.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Just in my experience, I think a lot of stigma around vulnerability for men is one. I know in my experiences that has been a challenge for some, and understanding how that will be accepted, whether it's in their home, whether it's in their workplace, in various aspects, and really being able to understand what fears that they're facing and what stress comes along with those vulnerabilities. Just in my experience, there's a lot of factors that come within us, within society over the years, over the generations, that have put, just in my view, that has affected men greatly. And there's so much more that is to be uncovered in that conversation, and the more that we have these conversations. So I think in all areas, there's definitely a lot to be said about the fear that comes with, having honest conversations about, how we're feeling about specific situations and pressures of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the fear that, that how the society will take them if they ask for help is one major thing that, that prevents them to seek help.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you talk about that, and then if you have access to the right person in a confidence, so maybe they are, maybe, and I can speak for myself, if you're going through something and that's really concerning, is there someone in that circle that's close enough that you trust to say, hey, I'm dealing with this, cannot have an outlet. And then if they're in that circle to have that kind of confidence, maybe there's more of a way where they can express it and not necessarily have to deal with the perceived stigma, and then realize, hey, look, you are taking care of your health to at least tell somebody that's in, and if that can start and they can identify or find someone who can then reach out to do it, that may be a start to do it. But that's been my experience when I felt and have found someone I could share something with closely. It's eased the burden of having to go out and tell people in the inner circle, hey, I'm dealing with this, versus having someone who's quietly noticed a sign and either has made an open avenue and has not pushed the narrative on me, but allowed me to come out and speak quietly to him.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very important point that, as you mentioned, that we need, that's why I think we need to initiate all these conversations so like people can relate to them. And then, when we share the stories, people can say, okay, yes, that happens to me as well. And then the fear is taken away from this. So that's a very valid point.
Yeah. For me, it has a lot to do with, sorry, Preston.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it has a lot to do with identity. No, as men, we have to be the ones who don't cry, who have to be strong. And I think we are at the time of evolution, as I want to call it, where we can challenge these identities. And, identity is something that's external to us. It's not who we truly are. And it doesn't make us less of a man to be vulnerable and cry, or to admit that something is out of balance and out of harmony. And I feel, we haven't been able to learn that as men, unless, of course, you went on your own journey to self or healing or whatever. We are so trying to fit into that identity and that format of what man should be like, whether it's in a corporate world that I couldn't stand because it was not for me. I wasn't in the army, but I burned out in a corporate world. I even burned out in academia because it wasn't for me. I couldn't fit in as a man. But at the same time, it doesn't mean we're not men. I feel it's really a good time to see ourselves evolving. It's not about personal growth that, now men need to be no, I feel it needs to come from within. It's the uniqueness that we can express being man, but in another way, and taking away all these stigmas and these hindrances in a way of being true and being able to embrace mental health, because mental health is also a sign, and like any kind of issues, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, is a sign. So the question is what we're going to do with it. And I feel it's a great opportunity to create new men. And I'm glad that we are in this together. And of course, also new women, But I feel the way we have lived with control and fixing and all of that over so many thousands of years, it's a great time to shift, to evolve together. Thank you.
Yeah, I love that. I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think what we're we're kind of hearing and seeing, and what I see happen a lot is it's that expectation of self, and a lot of that comes from the things that we've been talking about, like society and all the stuff that we've learned so far, and some of it's not true, right? And some of it's not accurate, and some of it doesn't hold true for every single human in the entire world, right? And so we need to recognize that and not make ourselves wrong, for one, because of that too. And then also it's the expectation of who we think other people think we should be, right? Who we think other people think we should be. So like say I work with a lot of business owners and CEOs and people of leadership, right? And those people often feel like they have to represent strength, right? For the people around them, they have to be the strong one, so that other people can get through, right? But they're also human, so it's an impossible expectation, which isn't real. And then because of that, it's causing a break, right? It's causing a pressure on men or people in general. and the people that are around them too, the people that they're supposed to love or be kind to, also get fractionalized when they're not really true to who they are, kind of like what Patrick was saying, who you are as a human. Like, because we all, doesn't matter who you are, we all go through the same feelings. We all go through sadness. We all go through happiness. We all go through anger. We all go through stress. We all go through love. And, it's all these different parts. And so, it's bridging that into the social part of it. But yeah, Hawk, what were you going to say?
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking about in New Age circles, if you say two words, if you say masculinity and femininity, what they will add to it very often is toxic masculinity and divine femininity. And that really sets me off, as if my gender, my core, call it orientation, whatever you want, is toxic. I mean, to me, men have taken on a role where they are the protectors, they are the warriors. They want to protect the weak ones. And that to me is and that is something you see in lots of women as well, of course. But the way these terms are put together, I think that creates a lot of tension in many men. And I think we need to change that paradigm. We need to see that we fit like the yin yang symbol. We embellish each other. We help each other become better people by playing on our strengths and talking about our weaknesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I love that point, because here what I feel is that like society actually categorize people like, in boxes, like a man and a woman, and a different, like they attach different expectations from them, and they want to behave them in that certain manner, and those who don't behave, they outrightly rejects them. And that's where the problem arises, that anyone who feels that they are a bit different, what they feel is that they are not accepted by the society or from the people around them. And that's where the problem like arises. And then they feel more mental health problem. Maybe they feel secluded, isolated. They feel that there's no one to talk to, and then they put more pressure on that person to follow or to conform to the society, where again that creates more dissonance and more problems with that. So here we need to see that like I see that men and women are meant to like complement each other. As you said, the yin yang, they are the part of the entire like the universe or the machine. And if they are like they have some, if men don't have that kind of ability, because I see that God has created men and women in a different way, right? And we're not meant to highlight those differences. Rather, we need to complement each other, to support each other. Like, for example, because what happens is society always wants men to be taken to take the role of protector or to be provider or something, and women then would try to expect them and ask for more, like from the men in that. So as women, I feel like as a mother, as a sister, as wives, as we need to support men, to create a space for them where they can be able to open up, to share their feelings and to share as they are. And when they do that, we need to accept them. So that's how I feel that we can create the environment which is healthy for men and women both.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I really love
Yeah.
that. I want to add on that, Hak, and also Ambreen. I feel, everybody talks about the divine feminine evolving and ascension and all of that, but it's equal to the divine masculine. And I have been listening to people who actually do podcasts on the divine masculine, because we are shifting just as much as women. And as Ambreen, you said, we are here to complement each other. I feel we lived in times where we felt like we have to please each other. where we have to complete each other, and it's complement. It's neither completion,
Yes.
because the
Yes.
completion is anyway within. And I feel that causes a lot of stress for men, for us, because I mean, when I lived in New Zealand was very extreme. Sometimes men don't know what to do for women or what women. So it's very interesting, and it's exactly that point, you know. And the same, the women don't. Many women feel like men don't have any more use. So I feel all these conflicts that have been created, they make it harder for men. And so it's important that we communicate, that we come together and actually speak what we're truly feeling. And for men, it's always been like that. That what we feel is not so popular. But what women feel maybe is more popular, and I feel it's equally popular. You know, I mean, we should listen to both, not just to one.
Yeah, yeah. So, like now, like if I want to ask it, how we all further can overcome, like help men to overcome these mental challenges, and especially when when they feel more able to seek help and to express more, how we can break that stigma around that. So, yeah, Heather.
Thank you. I just want to add, like, I think that, you know, there has been a lot in the media over, I don't know how many years about with regards to, you know, violence from men or sexual abuse committed by men and those sorts of topics. And, you know, for me as a survivor in some of those aspects, I think for me, I always wanted to find the root cause of why, you know, other people were acting out in these ways, and really focus on the experiences maybe that they have had that has suppressed their emotions to act out in such a way. Because I know, you know, people that have been in the news, they have committed an act of violence, but I knew what they had experienced previous to that and how it was being suppressed, and how no one stopped or came in to say, like, this person's facing a lot of trauma right now, or they're having addiction problems and they're not getting the support that they need. And so then the media portrays them as, you know, such a harmful person, which I agree, the act was very harmful. However, maybe putting in there the resources or, you know, possible solutions and the positive aspect that we can come from situations, whereas we're not telling everyone that they're a failure because they've committed a mistake in their life, that there is ways that they can come back in life and get the supports that they need, and that, you know, this does not define you and it does not define your future. I think that there needs to be more talk in the media when there's things going out about, you know, harm done by men, that there's supports that can list ways in which this could be a possible solution that they may be facing or other men may be facing, and have those resources available to them to have that greater conversation for long-term positive impact.
Yeah, I think too, to what you're saying, like, how do we get towards the solution? I forget how you worded it exactly, but with that, you know, I think from the areas that I see, you know, we need more access to tools, and we need clear tools. You know, some of those, you know, like in my world, I'd say like breathing exercises, or some of those would be like, you know, better, you know, ways to live and better ways to learn how to live and different things like that. I think we need support, you know, so people need access to be able to get support if they need those deeper things, kind of like, you know, I think Heather was mentioning too, but, you know, where sometimes situations get more complicated and you need more than just you doing it by yourself, and people need to know who to do that and with and how to do that. People need community, because we can't do this alone. If you are alone out there, you know, you need to actively work on building a circle of friends and a circle of people that you can reach out to, because sometimes that takes a little bit of work, and sometimes you have to be vulnerable, but you have to go and reach. And then, you know, we need to believe in ourselves, and we need to build self-belief. And I think in one of the comments, I was talking about challenging identities, and while that's good, I think more importantly than focusing on what's different, I think we need to create a very, very strong belief in ourselves, no matter what, to just freaking believe in yourself, no matter who you are, what you believe in, love yourself, no matter your situation in life. I think if we focus on that instead of all the external factors, I think that will be powerful for people. So, but, yeah, who else?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Preston. We need to focus on ourselves and strengthening our resilience. That is really necessary. But also you can't forget about the context that you live in. Like for instance, we've seen that if you have financial difficulties, it increases the risk of suicide severely. It's like if I believe it's something like 40% of those who had a real tough time financially in Sweden had tried to commit suicide. We got to see where people are at, because if you take away their foundation, if you take away their home, their car, whatever, then how, especially for men, because we are the ones who tend to commit suicide. That is something we can't forget. And to go into, I'm a practical guy. I worked in an institution, really the toughest institution you can think of, and I always like to start, using Maslow. Got to have the foundation, and you got to make sure that people are able to benefit from therapy, whatever intervention you use. You got to give them a safe base. That is one thing, and also another thing I think is problematic in our society is to focus on medication. That we think that there's one pill that can cure all ill, whether it's antipsychotics or antidepressants or benzo or whatever. That is flawed thinking, in my opinion, because you can treat the symptoms. Most definitely, you can drug some people down so they're not able to feel anything at all, or you can make them so they can't go and try to commit suicide. But you can't take away the actual reason that they're feeling bad in the first place. And then you got to go back to the first thing that happened to them. What was it that asked them the question, what happened to you? Rather than what's wrong with you.
Mm-hmm.
One thing though I do want to point out is mental health has no discrimination with income or situation. I mean, I know it is different things with, but like I was just talking actually with my family this morning. My sister was friends with a family member. We were talking about great family movies, right? And there's one of the great amazing actors, Robin Williams, right? Who, on the face was a successful, person, amazing human being, but inside, he had something going on that he couldn't solve. And those things happen all the time. And so, it can happen to anyone, it does. It can happen to anyone too. And so but and that's what's crazy now is that, it's happening more than ever. And I think it's because of some of the things you said, Hawk, like we like rely on external, sources to fix us, like a pill or drug, and that creates a dependency instead of solving a problem. And while that can get people through maybe a bridge, it needs to be a short one, and if you're on it, because that isn't a solution. It's a blinder to the problem, and it exacerbates the problem if the actual problem isn't fixed. So you had a great point there. I just wanted to highlight that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it's really about, when we're growing up as men, sorry, Heather, you're either drinking buddies that I never liked really that, or you play soccer or you play whatever, you're doing the man stuff. And we've all been there, and some of it resonated, and some we thought, what a horrible drag is that? But there is no circles of men who are just talking from their heart. And when I declared, like almost 20 years ago in a professional setting, I'm a man of the heart, they said, no, all men are men of the bush. I don't like what's wrong with that? Make me less of a man. And so I feel, you know, and even me, I'm suppressed in many ways because I don't have a circle of men where I can talk in that way. I don't. I feel we as men also need to come together and have circles where we can talk. And Heather, as you said, you know, yeah, it's not okay if a man hurts a woman. I mean, women also hurt men. It's also not okay. But we need to talk. If we don't talk, if you're just drinking is for me the same like taking a pill and drugs. It's taking you on a high for a moment, but it's not serving anything. If the change is not happening from within, nothing is going to happen. So I feel there is a need, and in order to break that silence and to live together in a different way is really about having circles where men can talk. Not about the alcohol that they drink, not about all the, the nonsense. I mean, it has a part of life. I'm not saying that this is not life, but we don't really talk from the heart. And it doesn't mean we don't have a heart. We play a role in this, all of us.
Yeah.
So I feel men coming together, but also Heather and Ambreen, of course, we love to be with you. But it's also men and women coming together. It's not the evolution of the divine feminine. It's the evolution of us together. We're not separated. And I feel this is something that is maybe also very important. Men and women are not separated. And Ambreen, you pointed that out a while ago as well. We need to start learning to come together. I think it's from the heart.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
This
Heather,
is
you
where-
were trying to say something. Yeah.
This is
Sorry.
where the compliment comes. Yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't earlier, but I will say now, what had come to me earlier was it's not a competition. You know,
Yeah.
being male or being female, it's not a competition. And when we can understand that and surrender our egos to understand that we are equal and that we all want to be united and understand that that is the greatest awakening and greatest evolution that we can do to the world, to society, to humanity. Just embrace seeing the good in each other and focus on the positive, and that will grow. And, you know, the more that we can do that, the better off our mental health, both men and women, will be moving forward. So thank you, Patrick. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's actually like what Patrick and you are talking about, being from the heart. And if you go and you have men, as we were talking about earlier, I mentioned, if you have a confidant, and I mentioned in my own experience, if it happens to be another woman that is somebody that's from the heart, you now having an exchange. Now you go back and you sit and you run into another man and he's explaining something. You've now had a dialogue with someone who's understood you. You're able to pass that on and speak, hey, look, I've had a compassionate exchange with another human, be it man or woman, to sit and now talk to you from this heart. Here's what it's worth. Okay, each man's situation is different, but you are able to take what you've had from that one interaction, be it man or woman, and pass it along. So, like you said, that inner circle helps when you have people understanding it's a combination of the good, ultimately trying to push and support someone, recognizing those signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
If I may just add one more thing, and that's about we have an extreme trauma focus, at least here in Norway we do. We're so focused on finding traumas, but we forget about finding the golden moments, the star moments in people's lives. We need to balance it, and that is when I work with people, I can take them into their deepest, most dark and horrible places, and then I'll suddenly ask them, okay, but do you remember when you had your daughter? Do you remember the first time that you looked into the eyes of your daughter? And they're like, yeah. You know, that is also within you. That has also been in your life. And then to go from trauma to star moment and back again and help them understand that, you know, life isn't black or white. It's all the colors are in the rainbow. And to truly feel that, to integrate it, I think that is so crucial.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love what Hawk said and what Paul said. So, like before we move on further, let's welcome Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. She has a meeting, so she had to join a little later. Thank you for joining, but I think you froze again. So she just joined, but I think her network is having a problem. So let's continue our chat. So, yeah. I kind of
Patrick, were
actually,
you going to say something? I thought you had something on your mind. I don't know if you did or not. But all right.
yeah, I think I actually just got distracted. Anyway, so yeah, it's a very great point that Hawk has pointed out, that it's just there's no black and white, and we don't need to see things, as I said, that we don't need to categorize things like in a perfect like boxes, that this is the male thing or this is the female thing. No, it's not. I think what I see is that we are just souls, like the energy. It's not something that we need to see that they are like defined by some gender, race, or ethnicity. No, not at all. We are just equal beings. We are here to, help people, help other human beings to, live a better life. I think that's what it is. And that's when we start seeing beyond these boundaries, then I think we'll be able to create a safe space for everyone to feel as they are, and not expect them to behave in a way that are expected by them. So I think embracing themselves or embracing ourselves as we are is more crucial than defining ourselves as society expects us to be.
Yeah.
I got something. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Paul. I won't forget it.
Yeah.
I almost forget. What I'm saying, I think Hawk said it. You're so used to the traumas and the negative. What happens when you get around a group of guys that they've just been conditioned to just the bad, the bad, the bad, until you run into a circle where someone has not told you but shown you. So now it's one. You have a domino effect. You have few. So now this one goes and he tags and he says, "Hey, look, I've had this. It may take longer than just having a mass, excuse my language, for a mass awakening, but when you've been through so much, like, I'm not going to tell it to anyone, and until you run into a confidant who's now shown you and told you, you now have almost a tool that can then go into whatever corporate tools to say, hey, here's the theoretical, but here's what's really working. Now you kind of domino effect the rest to go on, and more start to have it, because you now have someone in that circle who has actually seen and trusted another to do it.
Yes, beautiful. Yeah, I feel the same. Of course, we have traumas, we have sufferings, but we don't need to live in the suffering. I think Buddha was the one who said suffering is a choice. You cannot avoid going through challenges, but we don't need to live there. The challenges and the suffering and the bad experiences, or whatever we want to call it, they are an opportunity to evolve. As many other teachers say, let it go.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's great. So I just want to ask, like, especially when we talk about, like, in general, like, people can, especially men, can seek help, or they may, express their feelings. But what we want is that, especially when Patrick was telling, in the corporate world, especially in the workplace, when men are supposed to take the leadership role, to work, to behave as a leader, to a tough man, to take everything on. So how to change that kind of perception, and how to help men, especially in the workplace, to break that stigma? Yeah, Paul.
So I would think, just from a standpoint of seeing it if it has never been seen. And I would more say if you're a founder, if you're an executive, or if you're a manager and you have that ability to step out and now say it and speak it, you may send a ripple effect. It may not be right away. So if you kind of take that position to risk what may be perceived as you losing whatever your social credit may be, you may quietly trigger another person to say, you know what, I've got someone I admire here who stepped in and admitted some things. Look, I'm having a challenging time, and either I need help or this is what I did to go do it. We're here. Here's the tools. So please don't go out. That matters. It can be brief and then follow it with real action, because you may send a ripple effect doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is again coming from the, like, the leadership, that leaders needs to be more empathetic, like as you said, that one needs to start the ripple effect to do that. Yes, Preston.
Yeah, well, one thing I think is we need to stop making people wrong. That's where it starts. Is we need to stop making leaders wrong for having feelings. If we can do that, to stop making them wrong, then that solves the problem. Now it's a little complicated because there's social beliefs and stuff that get into it. And I think having these conversations are a big part of it. Having these conversations to go, hey, and having people in those roles have these conversations too. Like, I mean, I run a bunch of companies, so I try and do it where I can, but all the people that work with me know I'm very different, than a lot of people. And if you walk in and you see me, I'm gonna give you a big hug instead of shake your hand, because that's who I am. But but we need to make these leaders that are in these roles that are more strict, especially when you go into like financial markets and things like that. They're more uniform, and they're more these very tight boxes of things like that. And to go, hey, we can't make people wrong, when they reach out and need help, especially. So
yeah, I feel that's a very valid point, huh? Woof.
Yeah.
Because in leadership, we're judging, is a leader right or wrong? Are the people right or wrong? If we're stepping out of that, we go what I call evolutionary leadership. And I call it, of course, evolutionary leadership from the heart. If we can be vulnerable, if we can be that example, it's not the old example that we're talking about, but if I can make the example as a leader of being vulnerable and saying, well, I can't cope with this because the coping is covering my fear, is covering my flight mode, is covering my freeze, is covering my fear, is covering my fawning. I'm pleasing you right now. We need to do something else. And I feel what's also important for leadership in organizations is the leader needs to be out there. The leader needs to be self-evolving. They need to make an evolutionary leap. If they don't make it, then how are you going to get the people in? If they don't show that it's important for men in particular, but equally for women, to speak out, because how many women try to be men at work? Trying to be that tough woman, trying to follow all this beautiful steps that bring you to success, but what's happening inside? And I feel leadership is so important for that. And it's also, I'm part of an evolutionary leadership webinar at the moment, and one of our colleagues talk about the personal accountability, which has a lot to do with our integrity. Which leader really stands in their integrity and their truth? Who has really that courage and say, that doesn't resonate with me? Who really has the courage to say, I don't want to harm anyone. I want to be in harmony. How can we do this together? How many are letting all that control and being true in their voice and giving others voice? And this is, again, also allowing people to speak what's happening. I mean, mental health is not the end of the story. It's just an experience that we're having. It's not like, you're going to be sick forever and you die. No. Yeah. Mental health is a needs to be said, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, so let's welcome Jennifer. Thank you for joining, Jennifer. I know that you had a meeting and then you joined late, but thank you so much for joining us. So as you know that like we have been discussing about it, and it's like the question like we asked us that maybe you can just add your perspective also to it, that how these, especially at the workplace, we can change this narrative, we can change these leadership style, I would say, and to bring in more empathy, and to so people can speak more about mental health and be more able to express their selves rather than is uh, hiding behind the mask.
First of all, deepest apologies for being so late, especially to Ambreen. She knew I had another meeting, and it was one of those where it wasn't up to me when I could leave. So I'm very sorry I'm late. I think I would just jump in and build on everything that people are already saying. I use the neuroscience, neurobiology as a way to convince people, essentially, in all honesty. It's like a lot of people won't listen unless you can give them evidence. We are very visual creatures, human beings, and we love to see things in front of us, and we can't see our brains, so we tend to ignore them. So just like Patrick was saying, we have to have the courage to make mistakes. Well, the brain science will tell you the brain learns by making mistakes. If we're in a culture where we think we can't make a mistake and that we can't show the vulnerability that we're not always right, then our brains can't learn. It's as simple as that. And then you have a very famous neuroscientist, Antonio Damasio, and his research shows us that we can't make good decisions if we suppress and crush our emotional understanding of the world. People that have lesions or amputations in the brain of the emotional regions, they can't make rational decisions at all. And so we have to understand that our emotional understanding from a brain point of view is how our reason, how our rational brain makes really fabulous decisions. So it's so important in the workplace. And then just finally to reinforce, Paul, I only got the tail end of what you were saying, but Ambreen and Preston talking about empathy. Where I work is looking at how all of us are born wired for empathy. Like babies within 40 minutes will start to manifest, like start to imitate the powerful adults in the world, because our brains were wired that way for survival. If we don't know what the powerful people think, feel, and intend, we don't survive very well. And yet we live in a society where we very casually normalize the decimation of children's natural empathy, their loving, caring connection to others, their community, and we allow rampant bullying. And so it hurts our workplace, because the workplace is getting all these individuals coming in who through childhood and our school system aren't getting the built up empathy they need. And it's no one's fault. It's not a blame shame model. It's a broken system. It's outdated. It's not scientific, and it's not grounded in science. And leaders like Ambreen and all of you can change that. So I'm just thankful to be here.
I think it's so powerful what you're saying, Jennifer, about the broken system. I've also worked in schools, and I've seen how the natural expression of boys is played down. The way a couple of boys who get into an argument, they may have a fight, and they hit each other, and they're best buddies. And what happens? What does the system say? Oh, you can't fight. That was the way of fixing it. And then you see the more female way of, looking at people doing other stuff. That is more accepted. I think this is a huge problem that men aren't understood in early childhood, later in childhood, that their ways of expression aren't accepted. And we need to see that we are all equal, but we are also all unique. That is something we truly need to manifest, and to allow boys to do some. And I'm not talking about boys per se. There are many girls who wants to be the same way, who are more like, I'm like a what do you call it, tomboy. I want to go out and do boy stuff. Let her. You know, it's there's some strange thing about seeing that aggression is so horrible. If it's not, if it's treated in the right way, anger can be a huge power in order to facilitate change. Anger at the system that doesn't work, anger at whatever it is, you can use that, but you need to channel it, and you need to be taught how to channel it. And the part about empathy, yes, oh yes.
Definitely.
Yes, I really love what we're talking about here. And you know, Jennifer, I'm the man of the heart. It doesn't mean that I don't like the mind, but I love the mystic as well as the physical, so the energy as well as what we can rationalize. I feel we have both elements, and we need to bring them together because they match in nature. If we don't interfere in an ecosystem, the logic in a way and the mystical, what we can't explain, actually lives in harmony.
Yeah.
And men and women have both sides in another unique way. And I feel when we make space for that, then we make space for a healthy mental environment everywhere. And I feel that's so important. There are things that we need to say and say, hey, you know, don't you see that? This is a truth. This is a truth that is not created by someone. This is real. And at the same time, tell me how it feels to you. How does it resonate with you? What can you do about it? Then we become whole. I can hear a lot of things, but if I'm not into it, they mean nothing to me. I can learn a million things, but if they don't resonate with me, I never do anything. And I feel this is our true challenge. And this is why I love the groundedness. I love the real science. But if it's not true to me, it has no value. I won't do anything. I'm not evolving. Yeah. And I feel this is so important as we're coming together in this. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Heather, you wanted to say something? Yeah.
I was just going to add, I think that a lot, in my experiences that I've seen from the fields that I come from, a lot of value was placed on physical health and what that looked like in appearance and how that was portrayed as being strong or being masculine. And I think that when we can shift the conversation to talking about quality of life and well-being and understanding the emotional, like we've been talking about, the emotional, spiritual, and mental health and how that plays such a huge role on our physical health, and understanding that that may be a way as to some who have understood in the past physical health and understanding the medications that have been given to us, et cetera, that perhaps the other elements to that, to align, to improve our physical health, can be understood through education and awareness with regards to what's happening in our body with inflammation, fear, and all kinds of other things.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much. I mean, I know we can go on and on about this topic because we've just, touched the surface of this topic, and it is a vast topic. There is a lot to cover. So before we actually close the show, I would love to actually hear the parting advice from each of you. So if you can just share one advice through which we can change we can bring about the change and break the silence about this men's mental health stigma. So yeah, so who will go first? Maybe Paul. Yeah.
I would say being able to be in environments that are going to allow you to share. Whether I would say, first, we were saying about leaders. If you are a leader, if you are a man, and you have that self-awareness, even if it's not you, but you know when you've identified signs, then maybe take that time to share what you've seen and you dealt and start a ripple effect. You never know who that could signal on to go pass on and show but you were talking about the empathy. So take a step out. You'll probably be more respecting than you will be condescending on.
Absolutely love that advice. That yes, we need to create that space where, like, people can share and express their feeling. Yes, maybe Patrick. Yeah.
Yes, I really love that. I feel we are here all together in creating a space together for our uniqueness, for our unique expression as man and as women, because we are together. But I feel men are a little bit behind. So let's really put it all together, make that sacred space for being able to express who we truly are, our uniqueness, so we can actually come together and evolve and make this a much more beautiful world and allow the breaking and be the beginning of something new. That's
Awesome.
my
Yes.
for today.
Let's create it. Thank you. Yes, Heather, what would be your advice for today?
I think just have more compassion and kindness and empathy for yourself, whether you're a man, whether you're a woman. Have more compassion, and the more that we can have that for ourselves, we can have that for each other. And that those conversations that you're having that are vulnerable, or just something that you're stepping into that you haven't spoken about before, know that that is courageous and that is brave, and that the more that you can do of that will in turn in your future create a healthier, better quality of life for yourself and for those around you that see you taking that courage, taking that step in your own personal leadership. So I think it's about just having compassion that we're all learning lessons and all becoming a student again in life to evolve. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we just need to be more compassionate towards ourselves. I absolutely love this. Hawk, what would be your advice?
I worked in 15 or 20 something institutions. So I had a lot of goodbyes with kids and adolescents, and one of the advice I've given them is, I hope that when we part ways, that you find fate. And I don't care where your fate lies. I mean, to me, I believe in God, in everyone, but that is mine. I hope you find fate in something that can support you, and because we all need support. So if you join a church or whatever, it's all up to you. But find some faith. Just find some support in something that you perceive as being more than you. That is something we need.
Absolutely amazing. Yes, yes. That's one faith that will actually keep us going, even when the moments are dark. Absolutely. Jennifer, what would be your advice for today?
I think especially for leaders, and this again just builds on what everybody else has been saying, it's really important for them to understand from a neuroscience point of view that the more power you have, the less empathy you have. It's well documented in the science that there is an inverse relationship. And so what we want is yin yang. What we want is relationship. We want all those dualities collapsed into community, and recognizing that every single brain on the planet is as unique as every single fingerprint. And so if we can understand that fingerprints are the identity of a being that's completely unique, we need to start looking at each other and saying, I'm meeting with someone with a unique brain that I have never encountered before. This is a moment for awe. It's a faith moment. It's a curiosity moment. It's a what can I learn and how can I support and give? And if we got our leadership model to be built more on that, rather than I want to accrue as much power and money as possible so that I can dominate over others who are lesser beings that I do not see anymore because my empathy is damaged in my brain, and that can be seen in a brain scan. Well, that's really the direction we need to change in. I call it moving from a bullying abuse paradigm into a neuro paradigm.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely love this, because yes, we need to see each other as more human instead of just seeing them as men or women or like this. Preston, what would you say?
Yeah, well, I love taking action and I love simple steps to take, and so I would challenge everyone, especially since the topic's men. I would challenge men anyone who listens to this, including all of us in here and myself, I'll take on this task to go and to thank 3 other men in your life for who they are to you, because it starts to build your circle. It starts to help you to recognize who those people are in your life that you can reach out to. It opens up a conversation that's vulnerable to say, hey, look, I just wanted to tell you I appreciate you in my life. I appreciate who you are to me. And I just want to thank you for being my friend. And so you can open up a dialogue and start to build that connection, that community in your own world, because we can't do this alone. And if you already have a connection in the community, reach out to a friend that you haven't talked to in a while, because they might need you. And one thing that I've found is when you need something in your life, sometimes we always want the solution. But when we go and we give service, and that step out of reaching out actually can fill your cup with the things that you need at that time in ways that you can't see. So that's my quick tip and of action and tool to do today.
Absolutely, absolutely love this. And thank you so much for all of you for joining. And just last, my tip for everyone that, treat everyone as human, including your own self. I would say that most of the time we even define ourselves in a particular way that, look, I am a woman, I am a, let's say, a man. First of all, think of ourselves and others as just humans, and then we start to create a bond beyond just these categories, these borders. So I think be compassionate, be kind to yourself, and think of yourself and others as a human, as a powerful being here on this earth to create. You are meant to actually create an impact in this world. I think everyone needs to think in that way. It's just not that we need to be in the survival mode all the time and just to live our lives the way the society is expecting us. Just think what you want in life and who you are, instead of taking the identity from the society or from everyone else. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and think beyond all these stigmas. And so that's how we can create an environment where everyone feels loved and cared. So thank you all for joining us. Thanks to Paul, thanks to Hawk, thanks to Patrick, thanks to Heather, thanks to Jennifer, and most importantly, thanks to Preston. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you all for sharing your insights, your wisdom to bring about this change in this world. And thanks to Barbara and Valerie for being active member, commenting, because it makes our conversation more engaging. And thank you so much. And thanks to all those who will be listening to or watching it as a live or as a recording. Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Ambreen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.